Welcome again in our series, The 48 Laws of Power. Today's video is about your flash. This is the 37th law from Robert Greene's Power Laws. In this video, we not only talk about the law, but how to use it, and also identify when someone is using it. By understanding this, you won't get manipulated and be influential and powerful while remaining in your values. So, let's just start the video, and you know what to do if you find it useful. Chapter 1. Make moments that matter. People love a good show. Life can feel flat and predictable, so when something unexpected and eye-catching happens, it grabs our attention. Creating a spectacle is about making a moment stand out, turning the ordinary into something people can't ignore. It's about staging an event, action, or gesture that sticks in the mind. Something so different it breaks through the noise. From a psychological angle, this taps into what's called the novelty effect. Our brains are wired to notice and remember things that are new or unusual. A study by Douglas Mangan and Peter Wright in 1977 showed that people remember novel information better than the mundane. When you create a spectacle, you're making yourself or your actions memorable. You're the person who brought something unique to the table, someone people want to talk about. To use this for power, think about how you can make an entrance, deliver a message, or perform a task in a way that no one else does. It's not always about being loud or flashy. It's about being different enough that you're hard to forget. A little mystery or unpredictability goes a long way. But remember, spectacles can be a smokescreen. If someone else is dazzling you, pause and ask what they might be trying to distract you from. Don't get so caught up in the show that you miss the motives behind it. Keep your eyes open, and you won't be easily fooled. Chapter 2. Knowing when to make a scene. Not every moment calls for a spectacle. The power of a spectacle comes from its timing. It has to break the pattern of everyday life to have an impact. If used too often, it loses its punch, becoming just another expected performance. The key is knowing when to stir things up and when to stay quiet. Think about the Stoic principle of apatheia, maintaining inner calm and not being swayed by emotions. A well-timed spectacle can disrupt this balance in others while keeping yourself steady. It's about choosing your moment wisely. A sudden grand gesture when people least expect it can shift tension, redirect conversations, or win support. If you're strategic, you can use these moments to change the dynamics in your favor. When to create a spectacle. When the stakes are high, when you need to divert attention, or when you want to seize the spotlight. For example, if you're facing criticism or a challenging situation, a bold move can turn the narrative around. It could be a surprising decision, a bold statement, or an unexpected act of kindness or defiance, something that makes people rethink their assumptions. But watch out. If you're the one observing a spectacle, consider why it's happening now. Is someone trying to hide a mistake or distract from a problem? Keep your focus. Don't let the noise overwhelm your clarity. Remember, the real game is often happening behind the curtain, where most eyes aren't looking. Chapter 3. The subtle spectacle. Now and then, it is all right not to have a spectacle that grabs a great deal of attention. Some of the most elaborate exhibits can look very contrite and less in your face. Sometimes, it is important to make a gesture to calm you down and be confident at the right moments than to have grand gestures. It is about applying opposite. If all your competitors are loud and brash, then the time for you to be quiet or moderate could just be what wins you the prize. This notion also corresponds to the psychological phenomenon known as contrast effect. Stands out when it differs from the rest. In 1981, Amos Tversky, a psychologist together with Daniel Kahneman, also pointed out that people make their judgments by referring to what they are comparing against. If everybody is eager to make a great impression, then your confident nonchalance will appear to be even more extraordinary, and you know you don't have to try. If you want to bring this to gain powers, delicateness is the key. It is very important that you are purposeful without being overt. For instance, let's say you are in a meeting where some people have raised their voices to make their points. Instead of doing the same, remain polite and assertive. This way, you'll be consistently calm while the world around you keeps falling apart, and this arouses people's attention. It is important to understand when to be humble, the subtle power that others find people attractive, because they do not boast and brag. But if this is a role that someone else is enforcing, then you must check your analysis of their actions. At first glance, do not consider someone lazy or bored. Perhaps the one sitting idly is the strongest in the entire company. One must pay attention to those who appear to be quiet, but gets a lot of attention. They could be presenting their own sort of circus, which holds your attention without you knowing it. Chapter 4. Turning weakness into spectacle. There's no indication that strength is needed to build a spectacle. You can take what is considered a weakness and make it become the spectacle of your life. So whenever you expose your weaknesses or hardships, you interfere with the norms, thus making vulnerability a strength. It is a manner of taking back the power and assessing how people perceive you and then changing it. The German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche also provided a lot of insights about a concept called amor fati, or loving one's fate, accepting everything that happens in the world, including the things we do not like. When you wear out your imperfections with pride, you engage in a form of amor fati. You embrace every station of your life. The latter can silence critics, solicit empathy, and in some cases, forge further bonds, all through the prior's transparency. We like to be around authentic individuals, so it is safe to say that if you are portraying your more human side, people would remember you for it. However, it's possible to use this kind of tactic to presume that having received some form of criticism, you will rise like a champion from the challenge. Don't only focus on the Tamil Tigers' victory, but the path the group took to get there as well. Explain how the situation affected you positively, teach you resilience, or make you grow wise. This actually transforms what may be considered as a liability into something people would aspire to gain, instead of what they may want to avoid, or for which they will feel sympathy for someone experiencing it. However, if somebody uses this to your disadvantage, bear in mind the following. Honesty is always good when expressing yourself, but it can also be used as a ploy to disarm. The manipulators will overemphasize their weaknesses to try and elicit sympathy from you, or simply pretend to be harmless in order to mask a sinister intent. Ensure that they are not disguising their actual motives and try to think what it might be beyond what is seen at first glance. Chapter 5. The lasting impact of the spectacle. Notwithstanding the criticisms that may be given on this spectacle, its influence is felt up to date. It was a spectacle worthy of a modern epic, which can do more than grab the viewer's attention for a while. It can influence their vision for days. When you create something that can be remembered, it's etched in people's minds and taken forward. This path of sustained the activity can also be an effective strategy to establish himself slowly in a high authority position. I am all about visibility and perceived importance and relevance from the Zen of Easterly perspective. Cognitive bias, that was discovered by Tversky and Kahneman in 1973, refer to the availability heuristic, whereby individuals will use examples that come readily to their mind when judging a situation or an individual. In doing so, you put yourself into that mindset, the one people go to when they want a leader, a change maker, or someone who takes center stage. Thus, people treat your actions as some kind of a prototype and refer to it in order to solve similar problems. To get the full benefit of this, you have to plan beyond what kind of response you will make, but what kind of legacy you want to leave behind. Create opportunities that promote corporate values, personal and corporate objectives, and corporate image. It could mean being the one to insist on a course of action when everything looks bleak, presenting the revolutionary idea in a package the organization's culture will not ignore, or on being the incorrigible bearer of newfangled ideas. However, let me remind you, an outcome of a spectacle may dwindle, if not revived. Keep on being one and the same, and do not cease from making those little things that will remind the public who and what you are. On the other hand, when it is another, try noting a spectacle. Stay firm. Do not get carried away with the image that they portray. Go deeper and try analyze their actions in the long run to see if they match the image. Lastly, the true organizing principle of a long-term spectacle is sincerity, a genuine raison d'etre for the glamour, when what one does is in harmony with what one is. The impression, to use the terms of theater and the opera, is retained, and what one is becomes a part of the definition which people give to what one was, even if the spectacle is over.